This is Dr. R. Scott Thornton, the progressive Christian and author of Inclusive Christianity, a progressive look at faith. Check it out at inclusivechristianity.org. Today we're going to talk about capital punishment, the death penalty. The United States, Japan, and South Korea are the only democratic nations in the world that still utilize the death penalty. In the U.S., it varies from state to state. Looking at this from a faith-based perspective, we could start with the Old Testament, and clearly Mosaic law imposes the death penalty for a variety of offenses. Yes, some of these are serious, like rape and murder, but it also imposes the death penalty for things such as disobeying or cursing one's parents, or mishandling an animal, or premarital sex, and the list goes on and on. I would dare say that nobody in the modern world would escape the death penalty by the criteria laid out in Mosaic law. No, I think as Christians, what we should do is turn to Jesus and his perspective to give us a better feel for how we should approach this issue. Clearly, Jesus favors forgiveness over vengeance and peace over violence. He renounces the eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth teachings of the Hebrew Scriptures. He teaches us to love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us. Does this sound like somebody who would endorse the death penalty? I don't think so. And when Jesus encounters immorality, he tries to transform those people through love, compassion, and acceptance, not through retaliation and punishment. In the segments that I've done on abortion, I make the point that Jesus has a reverence for the sanctity of life. Now, either life is precious or it is not. We cannot say that it is precious for the innocent and not for those who are evil. In doing so, we would fail to understand that the capacity for good and evil exists in all of us. We tend to feel that certain people are irredeemable. God does not. Jesus has made it clear that God will go to almost any length to try to reclaim a person who has lost their way. Looking at this from the purely secular perspective, many people will say, well, the death penalty is appropriate because it deters crimes. Yet, most sociologists would not concur with that. If we look at Canada, Canada abolished the death penalty in the 1970s and their homicide rate decreased. The states in this country which have enacted the death penalty have the highest homicide rate. The second argument that people often make is that the death penalty saves money, that it is cheaper to kill someone than to keep them in prison for the rest of their life. That's also a fallacious argument. The fact is that it costs the state much more for the appeals than it would to keep somebody in prison for the rest of their life. Aside from that, there are strong indications that the death penalty is applied unfairly. The preponderance of people on death row are African American and Hispanic, and 90% of them were compelled to have court-appointed lawyers. This would at least suggest that perhaps it is applied unfairly, aside from the fact that sometimes it may be applied to an innocent man. So neither from a secular perspective or a faith-based perspective is there any reason why a civilized, faith-based society should continue to utilize the death penalty. Life imprisonment is an alternative. We don't have to release dangerous people back into society, but life imprisonment is an alternative which at least provides for the possibility of repentance and reparation. Thank you.